Thank you for joining me today. I have this little black chair to do. From looking at it, it's just a sunken chair, but I think there's some other stuff going on because it's quite lumpy here. So let's get on with it. Now the first thing I need to do is to get these up. I'm going to do it carefully because I think if I can, I want to reuse them. No, I can't reuse them because the head of it has come out. So this is not what I was hoping for, but never mind. They've just rotted off. So I don't know where this chair has been kept. I'm going to very carefully take these off. These are an unusual shape for a decorative tack. I've not come across something like that. This one looks like it could be cracking. That is interesting. They are little wooden tops that were glued on. People come up with some really interesting ways of doing stuff. There we go. I'll get all of them off. This is such fragile fabric. For the most part, it's just flaking and pulling apart. So I'm going to remove the rest of this and see what's underneath. I'm not sure whether this part is really leather. This is so old, it's really difficult to tell. This is traditional because there's holes here for the caning to come up through. You can see here it's all coming to pieces. This is what the caning looks like underneath. It's sewn through these holes. Each one of these either goes across or diagonally to another point over there. I'll cut most of this out of that and across, and then I'm only dealing with a little bit of stuff. Some of it I can pull through to the other side like that. I'm using my tack remover. I'm going to break up some of these like that, pull them out, and then from underneath I should be able to pull the loops out. There's little tacks here that need to come out. Do it in the centre of a little bunch, it will come out quite easily. Let's see if I can ease this out. See if I can get that to go up and then pull it out. There we go. I think maybe that got it. What I need to do, straighten that out, and I'm just going to tap it carefully. And there it is. It's coming through on the other side. Sometimes I can use this and then knock it out. Now I'm going to put this under here because I need a little bit extra leverage, and all I do is I push down on one piece and I pull up on the other and it pulls it out. I just find it easier if I do it that way. And again, just leverage it up like that. You're not struggling so much by doing it that way. Get rid of those little ones as well. Make sure everything's clear on here. I've just put a bead of glue down the centre and a little bit more on these like this. I don't want to put too much on because it all kind of spills out a bit. Now the bottom side where it's smooth is the underside, so I will be putting that on in a sec. I think that's probably enough. I had hoped to be able to put a clamp on here, but unfortunately my clamp isn't big enough. Best way to look is when I do that and see what's attached. I'm going to just put a bit more on these. Now some of these might not be attached properly because the wood has already fallen apart, but I'm going to put as much on as I can just so that the glue sticks together. I'm going to try to line it up as best as I can. I have a couple of nail holes which I'm going to use. One's here. I really want to be able to get that up right under here rather than at an angle. I'm going to drill down. As far as I know, that's even here. Yeah, it feels even. Oh, it'd probably help if I have a battery in the end. I've got a selection of dowels. This one's a little bit too big. That will break up too much of the frame. So I'm using this 1/4 inch dowel instead. And I went through all my drill bits, and this one, if I put the dowel underneath, it is about the right size. So when I drill the hole, rotate the drill a little bit to pull the plug out, and it should give me exactly or very close to the size I need for this. The whole idea is the dowel is a very snug fit. Okay, so I put 2 screws in to hold this. It's all dried, and now I'm going to put some more drill holes in. I can't get the drill where I want it, so I'm going to have to be very careful. I put pilot holes in and put screws in, and I am just going to put a few pilot holes for some dowels to go in. Oh, and by the way, I always put some tape so I don't drill it too deep. I want to go from here and to about here, so it is quite a deep hole that I need, but I don't want to just go too far. When I get to the depth I want, I just bring it all up. bring the plug out so it's nice and clear. I think I want to put 5 in just to make sure. Because I'm using a continuous dowel, take that, line it up with the bottom more or less, and then mark the end my drill went to. So that's how deep I'm trying to get the dowel to go to. Then I'm going to put some glue over most of the lower half. I usually leave about 1/4 inch at the top without glue. A little bit on the bottom. Line up the dowel with the hole that I drilled. It's a little bit tight, but it does go in. And then tap it until it goes more or less up to the line. It should be a little bit shy, but not too shy. Once I've knocked the dowel in as far as I can go, I take my oscillating tool and just cut it off. That gives it a nice finish. I'm going to put 3 along here because this has started to give. The reason why I'm putting the dowels in is the grain of the dowel goes this way, so it's harder to break, and the grain of this goes up and down, or in this case that way, and the grain goes that way. So it should make it a really good fix. I picked this up from Hobby Lobby and it's an English webbing. I'm going to staple it on the outside of these holes because these holes are the weakness. It's not so bad on the back because they're at different levels. Just going to secure it in 3 places for now, about 1/2 inch out from those holes. Fold that over and re-secure it. I'm going to pop that in here against there, hopefully in a straight line. And if you've got one of these, just be really careful because I have pinned myself to it before. Is that going to go down? No, I need to go a bit further out. You kind of have to adjust these a couple of times until you get it exactly where you want it. So long as I can bring it down and around and make that as tight as possible, tap it. And here again, I am going to go on the outside, but I'm going to come a little bit further out on the front. Cut it back, fold it over and secure again. Now I'm repeating it either side. The whole idea is you try to make it as even as possible so the gaps are similar. It just helps with the stress on the frame. I'm just going to even this out, which adjusts unfortunately when there's a slight angle. Similar, 1/2 inch out. Fold that over, secure it. I've weaved this in like this. I'm going to secure it as far back as I can to where the original cover came to on this side, and I will pull it in the same and put it as far away from these as I possibly can. I don't want to stress anything that doesn't need to be stressed. What I'm going to do is use this to cut the pattern out that I want for the foam. I bring that in. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be around about the right shape. Around there, like that, and up and around. Fold that over, and make that straight. I think that will work. It's close enough. So I'm going to basically draw that shape out on the foam. Put this piece of fabric over like that. I always put a barrier cloth down between the foam and any kind of webbing. Pull that out so it's even across there. And go across the bottom. Cut this back to about 1 inch all the way around. I did pull it as tight as I could. Fold that back over and staple just on the inside to hold it in place. Follow the shaping a little bit. Line that up there and cut it out. This is 1 inch foam, so it's nice and easy to cut with a pair of scissors. I'm just putting a piece of old blanket. It behaves like cotton wadding. It's a very thin layer. You can pick them up at a second-hand shop. And then I'm going to pop that down, the dacron on top. And here is the fabric going on top of everything. I'm going to line all of that up so it's even on the front. I think once I'm happy with the shaping, it'll be fine. See if I can square that off to the arms like that. So the first one I'm going to put in is on this side. There's enough fabric to come over there and to the back, and I'm going to put it in here like this. And I'm going to pull it quite tight to this side. Maybe that's too tight. Release it a little bit and then pull it in. The whole idea is that when it's all pulled in, it looks nice and even. So I'm going to go front, I think, and then to the back. That looks pretty straight to the back. But I'm going to pull it down to that corner so it comes out like that. I'm going to go across the front just a couple of places, and then the same here. Pull it down to the front here and pull it in, and again put a couple of staples across. It doesn't look pinched, so I think I'm doing it the right way. Going down and out. The only thing I do need to do is make sure that that doesn't come out too far. Cut that back and that back like that, which I'll have to do on the other side as well, and into place. I'm trying to pull the fabric along the warp thread so it stays in a straight line. It should also help keep the shaping of the top. Pulling it out and it shapes in slightly. Eventually the warp threads are going to come in at an angle. And I've got so far, I'm going to come along back here, trying to keep the weft threads in a straight line. This should pull out into a nice flat area here. I'm going to come in this angle. I'm going to have to adjust some of these and bring them forward slightly, because I think I hit the staples underneath. This one's just totally done a loop-de-loop and come back out, which is not something I can have. So I'm just going to run across the bottom here and then take all of these out that didn't go in, and the same along the side. I think there's a couple there that didn't quite go in. That's okay. I'm kind of hitting it blind because there's no groove to go in, it's just plain. If I'm happy with the side, which I think I'm on this one, I'm going to cut that back to within 1/4 of an inch of the staples all the way up, and eventually I'll go all the way around. For double piping, I'm going to take that piece, roll that over the top so it's just touching on the other side like that, and put that piece next to it and take that over the top like that. Slide that underneath, longer stitch. I've got quite a bit at the back so I can use that to guide it on through, and I'm going to pre-roll a little bit more, push that onto there. This actually helps to stop the pieces flipping over under there as you're sewing, and repeat. Just needs to be in place. As I get to the join, I'm going to open the join up like that, cut back some of this, keeping the seam open and evening it out like that. Pop that down on top, make sure the seam is still open, and fold it over and sew into position. Now if I had a thicker fabric, I would have cut at 2 1/4 inches, because when you go over the joins for the seams, it kicks out the fabric, which is fine, just one of those things, so just bear that in mind. I'm going to cut back the extra fabric off the back here so that I don't have any frayed edges from it. I think I can use most of this, so I'll make my way all the way down to the bottom. Now all I'm doing is putting the double piping in, follow the edges of the fabric, try to make it as even as possible and out and into the fabric like that. I cut it on the bias so it's easier to push around corners. So come around here, it should come in quite nicely, and I tend to push it from the outside and up on to the fabric. That means that any loose ends get brought in as I go. This fabric tends to fray a lot, and if I continue that line I can see where it will be going to, so I think that'll be fine. Now I've got all the way around to the back, cut it. It is a little bit long, but not by very much. Glue there, and then I'm going to put glue on the end like that. Push the end under there so it comes into line, and with a bit of luck, if I do that, all of that join will kind of hide together. I really don't want it showing, so I'm using that to kind of push it into place. I think that will hold without being too obvious. Yeah, I think that'd be perfect. You can barely see it. You have to look to find it. Now all I've got to do is put the bottom cloth on. Thank you for joining me on this project. Once I'd taken the original caning off and repaired the frame, everything else was quite simple. So I hope I managed to impart some good information to you. I've already done one project in this fabric for my friend and she liked it. Well, that's the cat, sorry. I've got everybody here today. If you'd like to see more from me, please subscribe, hit the bell button, and a few thumbs up would be brilliant. And in the meantime, take care, see you later. Ciao! Okay, you lot. Okay, you lot. I think we're done. I think we're done.